The stars burned bright above the towers of the Zerath Interstellar Academy. Its halls were filled with students from every corner of the Galactic Council. Bright wings, scaled tails, armored shells, and glowing eyes filled the classrooms. For centuries, this place had trained diplomats, scientists, and military leaders who shaped the destiny of the galaxy. But today, everything would change. Whispers moved through the corridors before the morning bell. Something impossible was about to happen. A human was coming. The Council had allowed only one representative from Earth to enter the Academy. To most alien species, humans were still a mystery. The word Deathworlder followed them like a shadow. A species born on a violent, dangerous planet. A species that had survived storms, predators, hunger, and endless wars. To the Academy's students, the very idea of sitting in a classroom with a human felt like sitting beside a predator in a cage, hoping the bars would hold. Inside Classroom 7, tension hung in the air. Dozens of young aliens sat in silence, their strange eyes fixed on the door. Some clutched their datapads with nervous claws. Others twitched their antennae or wrapped their tails tight around their seats. Then the door hissed open. A tall figure stepped inside. His boots clicked against the polished floor, steady and calm. He was not armored, not armed, just dressed in the dark uniform of the Academy. But his presence filled the room like the weight of a storm. His name was Arik Kane. His skin was pale under the bright lights, his hair dark and cut short, his eyes sharp and focused. He carried no fear in his face. Instead, there was a small curve at his lips, as if he was amused by the attention. He scanned the room once, meeting every stare without flinching, and then walked to his seat with measured steps. The silence was louder than any shout. The alien professor, a tall insectoid being with crystal wings, cleared his throat. "Class," he said, his mandibles clicking. "This is Arik Kane of Earth. He has been granted entry into our academy as part of the new Council Treaty. You will treat him with the same respect given to all students." No one moved. No one breathed. Arik sat down, placed his datapad on the desk, and leaned back in his chair. His calmness only made the others more uneasy. Some had expected a beast, snarling and restless. Instead, they saw a predator at rest, waiting. In the back row, a small movement went unnoticed by most. A clawed hand slid a short blade free from a hidden sheath. The glint of the weapon flashed for only a second before it disappeared under the desk. The alien holding it kept his gaze low, his breathing steady. He was no ordinary student. He was an assassin, planted in the class for one purpose. The Council's rivals had given a simple order: kill the human before he learns too much. The assassin's eyes narrowed. He waited for the right moment. The professor turned his back to activate the holoboard. The rest of the students were still frozen, trapped between curiosity and fear. The chance had come. The assassin rose from his seat, moving fast, the blade hidden against his arm. He crossed the room in silence, each step quick and deadly. The blade lifted high, ready to strike down at the back of Arik's neck, but Arik did not look surprised. His head tilted slightly, and his lips curled into that same faint smile. He did not turn. He did not flinch. His eyes flicked sideways for a fraction of a second, locking onto the assassin's reflection in the glass wall of the classroom. The blade was about to fall when the air exploded with a loud metallic crack. Security drones hidden in the ceiling dropped into place, their blue energy beams locking onto the attacker. A surge of force slammed the assassin against the wall, pinning him with magnetic clamps. His weapon clattered to the floor. The classroom erupted in screams and shouts. Students leaped from their seats, wings fluttering, tails lashing, voices panicked. The professor whirled around, eyes wide, mandibles clicking in alarm. But in the middle of the chaos, Arik Kane remained seated. His hands were still folded on the desk. His breathing had not changed. His smile had not faded. The professor rushed forward, shouting commands to the drones. "Remove him!" Security breach. The assassin struggled, hissing threats in his native tongue, but the drones dragged him out of the classroom in chains. Silence fell again, heavier than before. Dozens of alien eyes turned to Arik. Fear had shifted into something else, suspicion, awe, even a spark of respect. How did he know? One whispered. He never moved. He was waiting, another muttered. Deathworlder, a third breathed. Arik glanced at them, his expression calm. Where I come from, he said quietly, you learn to see danger before it arrives. Otherwise, you don't live long. The professor hesitated, then forced himself to continue the lesson. The holoboard lit up, diagrams glowing across the walls. The students tried to focus, but their minds were not on the lecture. Their minds were on the humans sitting calmly among them, smiling as if nothing had happened, and in the shadows of the council chamber across the stars, a message was sent. The assassin had failed. The Deathworlder was alive. A new order was given. If one assassin could not kill the human, then an army would be sent. The galaxy had underestimated Earth. Now it would learn the cost. The walls of Classroom 7 still trembled from the clash of metal and energy. The air was filled with the smell of burned circuits and scorched ozone. The assassin was gone, dragged away by the drones, but his failed strike still hung heavy in the minds of every student. The class had just witnessed something that no one could explain. Not that an assassin had appeared. That was shocking, but assassins could be understood. What no one could understand was how the human had reacted. Arik Kane had not reacted at all. He had not panicked, not shouted, not even twitched. Instead, he had tilted his head, seen the blade coming and smiled. A smile so calm, so cold, that it sent shivers down alien spines. It was the smile of a creature who had stared at death before and had never learned to fear it. The professor struggled to restore order, his wings rattling with agitation. Remain seated. Remain calm. The situation is under control. But the students were anything but calm. A scaled Zerathi student hissed loudly. He knew. He was waiting. A feathered Avani whispered, trembling, "How can anyone sense an assassin without looking?" A crystalline Ilori leaned forward, her voice sharp. "Deathworlders are not supposed to be here. This is why. They are too dangerous." The whispers grew into arguments. Some accused Arik of being in league with the assassin. Others swore he was hiding forbidden technology. Fear made them reckless. Yet through it all, Arik remained silent. He leaned back in his chair, arms folded, his eyes scanning the holographic notes projected above his desk, as if nothing had happened. That faint smile lingered on his face, steady and unshaken. The professor finally turned, his voice snapping like thunder. "Enough! The human is under council protection. Speak another accusation, and you will answer before the dean himself." The room fell quiet, but the fear did not fade. Every glance returned to Arik, each one filled with doubt. Then the door opened again. This time it was no assassin. A squad of armored security officers entered, their heavy boots echoing against the floor. The lead officer, a broad reptilian with scars across his jaw, looked straight at Arik. "You," he said, his voice a growl. "Come with us. The council has questions." Arik rose without protest. His movements were steady, deliberate. He gave the class one last glance. His eyes swept across their frightened faces, and the smile widened, not cruel, not mocking, but certain, as if he knew something they did not. That smile shook the class more than the assassin's blade had. When the doors sealed shut behind him, the silence was unbearable. In the council chamber above the academy, Arik stood alone under the blinding lights. Dozens of alien leaders filled the semicircle around him. Their robes shimmered with the insignia of their homeworlds, their expressions ranging from anger to unease. The reptilian officer spoke first. "You knew the attack was coming? Explain." Arik's eyes flicked across the chamber. "I saw his reflection in the glass." Laughter erupted, harsh and mocking. The crystalline delegate slammed a fist on the table. "Impossible. He was behind you. No one reacts so fast, no one." Arik's voice stayed calm. "On Earth you learn to watch everything. Predators do not announce themselves. If you wait until the attack begins, you are already dead." The chamber grew quiet. His words carried weight. Too much weight. Finally, the eldest counselor leaned forward. His face was shadowed, his voice soft but sharp. "If what you say is true, then perhaps you are more dangerous than the assassin. Tell me, human, do all your kind sense death this way? Arik met his gaze. The smile returned. We do not sense death. We simply live with it. Every day. The chamber fell into uneasy silence. Far across the stars, in a hidden fortress cloaked in nebula dust, the assassin's master listened to the report. His body was wrapped in black armor, his face hidden by a mask of jagged steel. He had trained assassins for decades. None had ever failed so completely. He replayed the recording again and again. The moment of the attack, the human smile. The stillness of his body, that is no ordinary prey, he whispered. His claws tightened on the armrest of his throne. If one strike cannot kill the Deathworlder, then many will. Assemble the fleet. Alarms echoed through the base as warships powered up. Thousands of cannons charged, engines roared to life, and banners of conquest unfurled. Back in the academy, the students crowded together after class, their voices hushed and trembling. Did you see it? One said. The smile? Another asked. Yes, like he was waiting for death. Like he wanted it. They did not know that even as they whispered, the enemy fleet was already moving. The assassin's master had given his order. The first assassin had failed. The next strike would not be one blade. It would be fire. And as the stars shifted and alien warships crossed into human space, Arik Kane sat quietly in his dormitory, staring out the window at the distant blue glow of Earth. His reflection smiled back at him in the glass. Steady and unbroken, the galaxy thought it understood humanity. Soon it would learn the truth. The stars above the academy shimmered in quiet beauty, but deep in the void beyond the peaceful skies, something darker stirred. Hidden frequencies crackled through space, carrying words not meant for the Galactic Council's ears. Words of war. Across a barren asteroid base, a signal repeated again and again. The Deathworlder survives. The Council has accepted him. Begin the campaign. Earth must burn. Dozens of warships received the message. They were not Council ships. Their hulls were jagged, painted in the crimson mark of the Korth Dominion, an empire that thrived in shadows and assassinations. This time, however, they were not sending blades. They were sending fleets. Back at the academy, life struggled to return to normal, but nothing felt normal anymore. The classrooms buzzed with nervous whispers. Security drones hovered at every corner, their lenses sweeping with endless vigilance. Yet despite the new guards, the students still could not shake the memory of the assassin's failed strike. Every conversation circled back to the same question. How had the human known? Arik Kane gave no answers. He sat silently in his seat, reading his datapad, occasionally glancing up when the professor spoke. He did not argue, did not defend himself, and did not seem to care about the stares that burned holes into his back. To some, his silence was terrifying. To others, it was proof of his strength. During the midday recess, Arik stood alone in the courtyard. The academy towered around him, its glass walls glittering under twin suns. Alien students passed by in small groups, stealing nervous glances his way. Finally, one of them dared to approach. A young Avani, her feathers pale gold, stepped closer. You knew, she said softly. You saw him coming before he moved. Arik looked at her calm as ever. I saw enough. Her feathers trembled. Are all humans like this? Arik's eyes turned toward the sky. On Earth, everything tries to kill you. The storms, the beasts, even the ground beneath your feet. We learn fast or we die. That is our way. The Avani stepped back, shivering, then hurried away without another word. From the second-floor balcony, other students had listened in silence. Their fear deepened. Their respect deepened too. Inside the council chamber, the debate had grown heated. Hollow screens flashed with images of destroyed colonies on the galactic rim. Smoke and fire burned on the surfaces of once thriving cities. The Korth Dominion had struck again, and this time their attacks were larger, faster, and more brutal. Council leaders shouted over one another. We must respond. With what fleet? They strike and vanish before we arrive. And what of the Deathworlder? The Korth target Earth, it is clear. The oldest counselor turned his many eyes to the screen, where Earth rotated slowly in the darkness of space. His voice rumbled low. If the Korth bring war to humanity, Earth will not survive. They have no great fleets, no defense stations, no allies. It will be their extinction. But even as the words echoed, hidden intelligence reports arrived, encrypted and faint. Scans from deep in Earth's oceans, images of metal shapes buried under ice and water, shapes too large to be submarines, shapes that resembled warships. The counselor froze. What is this? No one had answers, only more questions. Back in the academy dormitory, Arik sat by the window, staring out at the stars. His reflection stared back at him, calm and unbroken. He had heard the whispers in the halls, the news reports of colonies burning. The Dominion was making its move. He knew Earth was next. He whispered to himself, "They think we are weak. They think we are unprepared." His hands tightened into fists. Let them come. Far away, the Korth fleet gathered in the shadow of a red dwarf star. Hundreds of ships, their hulls bristling with weapons, formed ranks like blades ready to cut. The Dominion commander, a hulking figure in black armor, raised his claw. Set course for Sol. We will erase the Deathworlder's homeworld. We will show the Council that humanity is nothing but a myth. Engines roared. Space twisted. The fleet jumped to war. Back at the academy, alarms suddenly blared. Emergency signals lit up the skies. Students poured into the courtyard, staring upward as massive holograms filled the air. News feeds broadcast the images across every world. The Korth Dominion had unleashed fire upon the frontier, and their ships were now heading toward one place, Earth. The crowd of alien students gasped in horror. Some cheered, believing humanity deserved destruction. Others trembled at the thought of another world burning. Arik Kane stood among them, his eyes locked on the glowing hologram of his homeworld. The fear around him was deafening, but he did not share it. He only smiled again, that same calm smile that chilled every heart that saw it, because deep within Earth's oceans, something was waiting, something no one in the galaxy had ever seen. The stars over Earth shone quietly, as if unaware of the danger racing toward them. But in the deep void, the truth was clear. The Korth Dominion's war fleet tore across space like a black storm, its engines glowing red, its weapons charged for destruction. Hundreds of warships, bristling with cannons, moved with one goal: erase humanity before it could rise. On every council world, citizens watched in fear. Newsfeeds spread the story of the Deathworlder student, the failed assassination, and now the coming war. Most believed it was already over. What can Earth do? One alien asked. They have no fleets, no stations. They are primitives, another answered. Against the Dominion, they will fall in a single strike. The council chamber filled with shouts and panic. Admirals pointed to holograms of the incoming armada. Maps showed the Dominion's warpath straight toward Sol. They will slaughter the humans, a crystalline Ilori declared. We must evacuate their representative from the Academy before the planet is destroyed. But the Elder Counselor shook his head, his many eyes locked on the growing fleet. We may be too late already. Across the galaxy at the Zereth Academy, Arik Kane stood among the students gathered in the Great Hall. The hologram of Earth floated above them, glowing blue and fragile against the swarm of red enemy markers approaching. Fear spread through the crowd. Some students whispered that humanity should never have joined the council. Others whispered that perhaps this was justice. Arik said nothing. He only stared upward, his jaw set, his eyes hard. The professor approached him carefully. Arik Kane, if the Dominion reaches Earth, there will be no defense. You must prepare yourself for the worst. Arik's voice was quiet but steady. You are wrong. Earth has defenses. You just have not seen them. The professor tilted his head, confused. Defenses? Your planet has nothing but primitive satellites and a few outdated ships. Surely you know this. Arik's lips curved into a faint smile. You have only looked at the surface. That night, as the Dominion fleet closed in, strange signals lit up deep below Earth's oceans. Sensors hidden for centuries woke from their slumber. Vast metallic doors, buried beneath layers of ice and salt water, began to open. From the black depths, colossal shapes stirred. At first, the alien watchers thought it was an error. The Council's intelligence officers stared in disbelief at the data streaming in from their hidden probes. "It cannot be," one whispered. "Those energy signatures, they match warship cores." Another leaned closer, his voice trembling. "But they are too large, too powerful. Earth never reported this." The hologram shifted to reveal them. Rising from beneath the seas came titanic silhouettes, larger than any Council battleship. Ancient hulls, reinforced with alloys unknown to the galaxy, broke the surface. Water cascaded from their armored frames as engines roared to life. The forgotten fleet had awakened. Dozens of human warships rose into the skies. Some had rested beneath Antarctica's ice, others within the Mariana Trench, others hidden in cavernous vaults under Greenland's glaciers. For centuries they had slept, silent guardians, waiting for the day Earth needed them. Now that day had come. Alien leaders across the Council stared at the feeds in shock. Many could not even speak. Faces froze, wings trembled, antennae twitched, eyes widened. "How did we never see this?" a councillor gasped. "They were primitives. They had no fleets," another shouted. "This is impossible. No world hides warships of that size." But the evidence was clear. The humans had never been defenseless. They had been waiting. At the academy, the students crowded around the glowing holofeed. Their fear turned to awe. Even those who had doubted Arik could not deny what they saw. One whispered, "He knew. He always knew." Another muttered, "If these ships are real, then what else have they hidden?" Arik stood in silence, his eyes reflecting the rising human fleet. For the first time since his arrival, he spoke loudly enough for all to hear. "You thought we were weak. You thought Earth was unprotected. You were wrong. My people are survivors. We never stop preparing. And when the storm comes, we meet it head-on." In the void of space, the Korth Dominion fleet slowed. Their commanders barked orders, their scanners filled with strange readings. "Impossible," one shouted. "This planet has no fleets. Our spies saw nothing." Yet before their eyes, massive human warships broke through the atmosphere, their hulls glowing with power, their weapon systems activating. The Dominion commander growled from his throne. "So the Deathworlders have claws after all. Then we will break them." The fleets faced one another across the cold darkness. Hundreds of Dominion ships against the rising giants of Earth. The galaxy held its breath, and in the academy the alarm sirens blared. A new holofeed appeared, red with warnings. The Dominion fleet had entered Sol. Battle was inevitable. The void of space stretched wide between the two fleets. On one side, the Korth Dominion armada, dark and endless, bristling with cannons and crimson banners. On the other side, the newly risen human warships, colossal giants tearing free from the grip of Earth's oceans and glaciers. Steam still drifted from their armored hulls, as if the planet itself had forged them in secret and released them at the moment of doom. The galaxy watched through countless holofeeds. Every council world, every academy classroom, every trading station tuned in. The question echoed everywhere. What would the humans do? The Dominion commanders laughed. Their voices carried across encrypted comms, full of arrogance, rust and waterlogged steel. "That is all they have. These ships are relics. They cannot stand against our modern fleets. We will burn Earth in minutes." But Arik Kane knew better. Sitting in the command center of one of the awakened ships, he wore the dark armor of a Deathworlder soldier. The glow of tactical screens lit his face, sharp and determined. His classmates, still at the academy, watched in silence. Their feeds locked onto his vessel. The Dominion made the first move. A wave of heavy cruisers surged forward, cannons spitting fire across the void. Lances of plasma cut through the dark, aimed to slice the ancient human hulls apart. The galaxy expected to see Earth's ships torn to pieces. Instead, something else happened. The human warships did not scatter. They advanced. They moved with strange, brutal precision, diving straight into the heart of the enemy fire. Their shields flared, their armor groaned, but they did not break. Where other species would retreat, humans pushed closer, and then they struck. From hidden ports along their hulls, swarms of hunter drones launched like a storm of steel insects. They slammed into Dominion ships at close range, drilling through armor, disabling engines, planting explosives deep inside. Council admirals watching the feeds gasped in disbelief. No civilized fleet fought like this. Close-range combat was madness. It was suicide, but to humans, it was instinct. A Dominion destroyer erupted in flames, broken from within. A second vessel split apart as a human battleship rammed it head-on, tearing through its core before veering away, smoke trailing from its own hull, the alien council chambers filled with uproar. "They fight like beasts!" one shouted. "This is not strategy. This is slaughter." But an older admiral shook his head, his voice heavy. "This is Deathworlder strategy. They do not fear losses. They only fear defeat." In the academy, our ex-classmates leaned closer to the screens. Some were horrified, others awed. "They are insane," whispered a scaled Zerathi. "No," muttered the feathered Ivani, her eyes wide. "They are winning. For every human ship that burned, 3 Dominion vessels fell. The void was littered with fire, broken hulls drifting into the dark. Yet the humans kept pressing forward, their tactics savage and relentless. On his command deck, Arik gave orders with steady calm. "Bring us closer. Lock targeting on their command ship. Do not give them space to breathe." His officers obeyed without hesitation. They were Deathworlders too, and they fought with the same grim certainty. The Dominion commander slammed a clawed fist onto his console. "Impossible! Primitive ships cannot fight like this. Increase fire! Crush them!" But panic was already spreading through his fleet. The humans did not fight like prey. They fought like predators that had been caged too long, now unleashed with fury. One by one, Dominion warships fell. Explosions lit up the void like false suns, and yet victory was not certain. At the edge of the battle, a massive shadow loomed. The Dominion's flagship, a dreadnought larger than any other, surged forward. Its cannons glowed bright, charging for a single strike that could shatter Earth's defenses. The council feeds focused on it. Fear spread across the galaxy once more. At the academy, students clutched their desks. "That ship is unstoppable," one cried. "It's bigger than all the rest combined." Arik's eyes narrowed as the colossal vessel appeared on his tactical screen. For the first time, his calm broke into cold fury. "That's my home they're aiming at," he said quietly. He rose from his chair, his voice hard as steel. "I'm going." The camera feed caught him stepping toward the shuttle bay, his black armor glinting under the red emergency lights. His smile returned, sharp and dangerous. The feed cut to static. The galaxy held its breath, and on the Dominion dreadnought, a familiar shadow stirred. The master assassin himself, waiting for the Deathworlder to arrive. The human fleet burned across the stars, half-wrecked but still pressing forward. Fires raged inside broken hulls. Escape pods drifted among the debris. Yet the Deathworlders did not retreat. They fought harder with every loss, as if pain only sharpened their resolve. But all eyes were fixed on one ship, the Dominion dreadnought. It was a mountain of steel, dwarfing even the largest human vessels. Its cannons glowed with the fire of suns, charging for a single devastating blast. If unleashed, Earth itself could fall. Across every channel in the galaxy, fear spread like wildfire. The council chambers buzzed with panic. The alien academy erupted into shouting. Students clung to their holofeeds, unable to look away. And then the cameras caught him, Arik Kane. The human cadet turned warrior stood in the shuttle bay, armor sealed tight, weapons gleaming under the red hazard lights. His face was calm, his eyes steady, his expression unreadable. Yet that faint smile was still there, the same smile that had unnerved the assassin on the very first day at the academy. The comlink crackled. A fellow human officer's voice spoke through the static. "Commander Kane, boarding the dreadnought is suicide. You won't come back." Arik strapped on his rifle, his voice firm. "If that ship fires, none of us come back." He stepped into the drop pod. The hatch sealed with a hiss. The chamber trembled as the launch sequence engaged. And then he was gone. The pod streaked across the void, a burning comet flying toward the massive Dominion dreadnought. Enemy fire lanced past it, explosions scattering nearby, but the pod did not waver. Inside the academy, silence fell. The students who once mocked the human now leaned forward, holding their breath. Even the teachers, proud veterans of galactic wars, said nothing. The pod slammed into the dreadnought's hull. Metal screeched as it drilled through. The hatch blew open, and Arik Kane stepped into the enemy's heart. The corridors of the Dominion vessel were vast, carved from black alloy, lit by crimson light. Dominion soldiers waited in ranks, claws and rifles raised. They expected fear. They expected hesitation. Instead, the Deathworlder smiled. He moved like a shadow, rifle barking fire. Every shot found its mark. Dominion soldiers fell one after another, their howls echoing through the steel halls. Blades clashed, rifles cracked, grenades shook the ship from within. Yet the human did not slow. Impossible. One Dominion captain cried as Arik crushed through their line. "He fights like an army!" Blood streaked the walls. Smoke filled the corridors. Arik pressed deeper, his armor scorched and torn, but his steps unshaken. He knew where he was going, the dreadnought's command bridge, and waiting for him, there was the shadow, the master assassin. The figure stepped into view, cloaked in shifting black, blades glinting in each hand. His voice was calm yet edged with hunger. At last, the human leaves his fleet to face death alone. The perfect hunt. Arik stopped, his rifle lowering slowly. His eyes locked onto the assassins. His lips curved into that same cold smile. "No, this isn't your hunt. This is my war," the assassin lunged. Blades flashed like lightning. Arik caught the strike with his gauntlet, sparks flying. The clash shook the corridor, steel ringing with every strike. Blades against fists, speed against raw strength. The Dominion dreadnought trembled from outside fire, but within, the true battle had begun. The assassin's voice hissed between strikes. "Your people fight like beasts. No strategy, no control. Just rage and ruin." Arik blocked another strike, driving his knee into the alien's chest. "You're wrong. We fight to protect. That's what you'll never understand." The assassin spun, slashing across Arik's shoulder. Sparks flew, armor splitting. Pain flared, but Arik only smiled wider. His fist slammed into the assassin's jaw, sending the killer crashing into a steel wall. The academy students gasped from their hollow feed. They had never seen a battle like this. Not a duel of skill, but a clash of willpower. The assassin rose slowly, blood dripping from his lip. For the first time his expression twisted, not in control, not calm, but furious. "You are no soldier. You are a monster." Arik's voice was cold steel. "I'm human. That's enough." The assassin lunged again, and their battle ripped through the dreadnought's heart. Outside, the human fleet fought on, but the dreadnought's main cannon reached full charge. Its massive energy core pulsed, brighter and brighter, preparing to unleash destruction on Earth itself. In the council chambers, alien leaders screamed. In the academy, students shouted in panic. Inside the dreadnought, alarms blared. The cannon was seconds away from firing, and deep in its core, two figures fought in fire and steel, one the galaxy's deadliest assassin, the other a Deathworlder who only smiled. The screen cut to black. The dreadnought shook as if alive, groaning under the stress of battle. Outside, the human fleet clashed against Dominion warships in fire and fury. Inside, alarms screamed, red lights flashing through endless steel corridors. And at the very core of the ship, the true war raged. Arik Kane faced the assassin, the galaxy's most feared killer, the one sent to silence humanity before their rise even began. Two figures stood in the crimson glow, surrounded by smoke and fire, one cloaked in shifting black, blades gleaming like venom. The other armored, battered, yet standing tall, his face lit by that cold, steady smile. The assassin's voice was low, taunting. "You should have stayed a student, Deathworlder. You are only flesh and bone. And he raised both blades, their edges shimmering with poison energy. "I am death." Arik tightened his grip on his broken rifle, now just a blunt weapon in his hands. His armor sparked, half-shattered, blood running beneath. Yet his voice was calm. Good. Let's see which death the galaxy remembers. They moved at once. The assassin struck first, faster than light. Blades slashed in deadly arcs. Uruk blocked with his rifle shaft, sparks raining down. A blade cut across his chest plate, another across his arm. The human staggered back, then surged forward with brutal force. His fist slammed into the assassin's jaw, sending him reeling into a steel console that exploded in sparks. The galaxy watched through the hacked feed. Academy students leaned forward, some whispering in awe, others in terror. "He's fighting a professional killer with his bare hands," gasped a scaled Zerati cadet. "And he's not losing," muttered the Avani, with feathers trembling. The assassin rose, cloak tattered, eyes blazing with fury. His calm was gone. His pride was bleeding. "You should already be dead," he hissed, lunging again. The duel tore through the command deck. Consoles shattered. Sparks fell like fire rain. Steel walls buckled as fists and blades collided. Every strike was meant to kill. Every block came a hair from death. The assassin moved with speed and precision. Uruk moved with fury and instinct. The assassin fought like a master of 1,000 kills. Uruk fought like a Deathworlder, unpredictable, relentless, unstoppable. The dreadnought trembled as explosions shook it from outside, but the most dangerous fire burned within. At last, the assassin drove both blades into Uruk's chest. The steel shrieked as they pierced through armor, sinking deep. The galaxy gasped in silence. The assassin leaned close, whispering cold victory. "It is finished, human." But then, Uruk's hands closed around the assassin's wrists, locking them in place. His eyes burned with pain, but that smile, that impossible human smile, still lingered. Not yet. With a roar, Uruk slammed his forehead into the assassin's skull. Bone cracked. The assassin reeled, dazed. Uruk ripped the blades free from his own chest, blood flowing, but his grip only tightened. The council chambers erupted in disbelief. Alien leaders stood, shouting at the feeds. "How is he still alive? No creature can endure this." The academy went silent. Every student stared, realizing in that moment what it meant to be a Deathworlder. Uruk hurled the assassin across the command deck. The killer struck the glowing cannon core, rolling to his knees, cloak torn to shreds. His calm voice was gone, replaced with a snarl. "You're not a soldier," he spat. "You're a monster." Uruk staggered forward, chest bleeding, yet his voice cut like steel. "I'm human, and humans don't stop." The assassin charged again, blades raised for the final strike, and then the deck trembled. The massive cannon at the heart of the dreadnought reached full charge. Its core pulsed like a star, ready to unleash devastation upon Earth. A countdown began, echoing in mechanical tones. 10, 9, 8. On every feed across the galaxy, fear gripped the watchers. Would Earth be destroyed? Would humanity fall before it could even rise? On the command deck, the assassin lunged. Uruk raised his broken weapon, ready for one last clash. 7-6, the galaxy held its breath, and as the assassin's blades descended, Uruk's smile returned, colder, sharper than ever. The screen cut to black. The Dominion dreadnought shook like a dying beast. Fire roared through its corridors, alarms howling across every deck. And at its heart, the colossal cannon glowed brighter than a star, moments away from releasing destruction upon Earth. The countdown echoed through the command deck. 5, 4. Uruk staggered forward, blood running down his armor. The assassin lunged, blades flashing, eyes burning with fury. Steel clashed against steel, sparks bursting with every strike. 3. Every holofeed in the galaxy streamed the moment. Billions of eyes watched. The council chambers were silent, leaders frozen in terror. In the academy, students leaned closer, unable to look away. The assassin's voice dripped venom. "You cannot win. You are broken. You are dying. Humanity ends here." Uruk's hand shot up, gripping one of the blades mid-strike. Blood poured as the weapon sliced his palm, but his smile never faltered. No, humanity begins here. 2. With a roar, Uruk twisted the blade free, spinning it in his hand. He drove it deep into the cannon's control core. Sparks exploded. Alarms screamed louder. The entire dreadnought groaned under the surge of energy. The assassins shrieked. "You fool! You'll kill us both!" Eric leaned close, his voice steady, his smile sharper than ever. "Then I win." 1. The dreadnought's cannon detonated. A blinding wave of energy ripped through the ship, bursting out into the void. The explosion tore across the Dominion fleet, shredding warships, splitting cruisers apart. Fire lit the stars, brighter than any sun. On Earth's surface, people looked up and saw the sky burn with falling fire, yet no weapon struck their world. The human fleet shielded their home, battered but unbroken. In the academy, cadets cried out in disbelief. Some cheered, some sat frozen, stunned. The professors stood silent, watching the impossible unfold. In the council chambers, alien leaders shouted over one another. Some demanded retreat, others demanded surrender, and a few simply whispered in awe, "Deathworlders." They turned their weakness into victory. As the fire cleared, the dreadnought's wreckage floated in pieces. But in the shattered core, one piece of feed remained, the image of a human soldier, Arik Kane, armor torn, bloodied, broken, but alive. He floated in the wreckage, gripping onto a twisted beam of steel. His smile was still there. That same smile that had terrified the assassin. That same smile that now burned across every screen in the galaxy. And then, through the crackling comlink, his voice came, rough but steady. "Message to the Dominion. Message to every council that doubted us. Humanity doesn't kneel. Not today. Not ever." Silence followed. The assassin's body drifted lifeless in the wreckage, his blades gone dim. The galaxy's most feared killer, defeated not by a superweapon or an army, but by a single human cadet who refused to break. The human fleet, scarred but victorious, moved into formation. Their battered hulls glowed under the light of Earth, towering like guardians risen from the deep, and across the stars, one truth echoed in every mind: the Deathworlders had arrived. The galaxy would never be the same. The feed cut to black.